That's very interesting qualifying beforehand, but do you think everybody's in that privileged situation to say, okay, I don't think so, I can deliver most of it, I have 70% capabilities to deliver this part of the project, to go out and say, no, I'm not good 95%, I'm good just 70 or 60% for this tender.
Okay.
How many CEOs in the sector have that leadership?
Yeah. And look, I think it's grown, but that's a really good other point to clarify. So we've got 2 tenders we've won in the last 2 years where we partner with Anglicare or Serenian House for exactly that reason, where I've said, look, I think we are the best placed agency to be the lead provider here because it's residential mental health services 24/7 for the most unwell in the community. We've been doing that for 45 years. But in these 2 instances, you're absolutely right. The AOD component or the other community component, I thought to myself, we're not everything. We can't do this in its entirety by ourselves. And so we went in with partners, and so we drew them in. That's a really good thing to clarify from my first statement, because we're not all things to all people. Look, the organisations I work with, I'm seeing that in a really growing amount of instances, and I'm optimistic that it could be really the new way of working, that everyone works more that way. And I think in the coming years, I think more rather than less will be working in that manner.
Yeah. And you are the one of those organizations who have kept yourselves as specialist, not journalist. We have seen a trend of community service organizations going from one to multiple funding programs in order to, one is, yes, they had the skill set, and second one was sustainability story around it. And in those scenarios, when you are working on bids and projects, you are multi-program organization. When you're working in collaboration, how do you align the purpose there?
Yeah, there's a number of layers. Yeah, so look, you need to have organisations that align, but then when I drew it down to what that means is you need to have a culture that's similar amongst your staff and around how you care for individuals. But what is also really important is the relationships you have between the CEOs and the executives, because it's very easy to sit around a table and have some blue sky thinking about how good a service could be and to reach alignment there. But things don't always go to plan, and you need to think about what would it be like if we had some problems or some challenges and the rubber hits the road and we're working with these teams. That's when you're going to find out how well aligned your values are. What I find with these things is it's important to have ongoing relationships with other partners during the year, because if you get 6 or 7 weeks to respond to a tender, there's no way that you can determine in that shorter period of time just approaching a new agency and trying to work out if you work well. We started with organisations that we naturally connect with in terms of clients who we might both be supporting. But with some of our key partners, we have times where their executive comes and has lunch with our executive just for no real agenda, just to meet and greet and just build the relationships, because I find that you really need those things to work together. So it's about having an ongoing relationship, and also for the long term. So some of our key partner agencies we've been partnering with for 5, 6, 7 years, and that's what you really need to start embedding similarities and to know where you work together and how you work well. You need to have a long-term approach with these things.
And